right, this is it. This is the season finale of our Saturday night discussion, and I know that it seems as if it was really quick. Like we just started couple Saturdays ago, and we've ended our first season. I think we've completed at least 7 episodes. I must say, good evening to everyone who is viewing on our Facebook pages at Evangelist Geraldine and at Erraldo Living for Christ Budhan, and also those who are viewing on our YouTube channel at Tips for Behavior Change. I am Erraldo and I'm one of your hosts. And Evangelist Geraldine Garwood, clinical psychologist and behavior analyst, is our resident clinical counseling, everything you can find in psychology, and our co host. And we've been with you for multiple Saturdays. And just talking about issues concerning church and society and how we believe the integration of theology and psychology can better able the church of God and the people of God. And so we are ending tonight's discussion with one of our favorite one of our favorite guest co-hosts. She might just very well be a co-host of the program. She was on the last time. We had a wonderful time talking about depression. And I know it sounds weird to say we have a wonderful time talking about depression, but we had a very interesting time last week with our resident guest. You never hear them terms before, resident guest. So often we will get to see the face of counseling psychologist Sosheina Whyte, and she's here with us for our season finale. It would have been so good to have all of our guests on tonight, but we'll work on that for the next season. Just a little, what would you call that thing? Just a little that before we go into the program. I can't remember the what's that thing like you're cleaning up your house? Just a little housekeeping. Housekeeping matters. There we go. Oh God, just a little housekeeping matters. We are launching our podcast in January. We're launching our podcast in January, and all the episodes that you would have watched in this season will be available by mid-January on our podcast platform. We're saying keep an eye out on our pages. You'll get more information. The podcast is going to be called Saturday Night Discussions. It will be available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere you can access podcasts. So we want you to be a part of that. So it helps. So you don't always have to sign into YouTube or sign into to Facebook. You can just go on your app, your podcasting app, and you can hear exactly what Geraldine and I will be talking about with our guests. So that's for next year. Also, because I'm very church, if you want to give to this ministry, reach out to Miss Garwood or myself, because at the end of the day, it's not very cheap for what we're doing and for what we're creating, but it's necessary. And if you feel like it's something you would like to sow into the ministry, and not sowing into my personal ministry and not sowing into Miss Garrett's personal ministry, you're sowing into this that we're using to equip society. So we want you to help us out as we continue to get good people. So far, we've had some of our best guests on this program, from pastors to lay members to lay leaders to professional counseling psychologists who has been on at least 3 times now. We are lending you, and you, let me tell you this before Ms. Garwood jump in. You cannot get half of what we're doing. Half of what we're doing, you can't access that easily and for free. When I listened back to our last week program, Sosheina and Geraldine, when I listened back, I was like, this is deep. You will never get this unless you pay for a seminar or pay to get you'll never get all this information, or unless you sit down and research it for yourself. So we're giving you information that others will be charging, and we find it a joy. Geraldine, how you do? Last episode in this season.
Why, I'm glad to be here. Tired, but no one telling us say no. Me never for put on the peacock spread today for my mother bed. That is a good girl, you know. Yes, Sashina, me say, in the week, my niece call and say, what size bed grandma have again? I will tell her, and she send her grandmother Christmas sheet. So you see, me never for buy nothing again. As well, so me never da buy nothing. But God provides. So if you want nobody peacock spread, they go check last week discussion for those who just joining us. But I did not put on the peacock spread today. So because all day me there, a change of curtain and put on new sheet from bed for me next
Mm-hmm.
week. Me just look on the bed and me say, look at God, me can come tell everybody say me never have to put on the peacock head. Or did they go every 40 years now to go up on the bed, eh? I
Boy,
mean, never
40
had to put it
years.
on. Yes, I never had to put it on today because my mother got a new set of sheet from her granddaughter. So, you know, sister, God
Wonderful.
provide wonderful, wonderful. So, I'm here giving God
Wonderful.
thanks. I too am appalled that we have reached the season finale, that we have really done so much. And I share the same sentiments as Erraldo because I was looking back at a number of the videos and I'm like, wow, we have really given some deep insightful information to the public, to persons out there, which would have cost if they were really to have a seminar or have us, in an individual one-on-one session, So I want to say to persons, thanks for those who have viewed, thanks for those who subscribe, continue to subscribe. And other videos will be uploaded, throughout the season in terms of tips, you can work through the holidays and things like that. But of course, we are going to resume our Saturday night discussion again in January as we take this break and our podcast, as Eraldo shared earlier. And I'm excited for what God is going to do in 2022 again through these discussions. And I look to see bigger things happening as we go ahead for the 2022. So
Yeah.
I am giving thanks, Eraldo. I'm giving thanks.
It's interesting. When if we remember how we even started,
Yes,
how we. So Shane, I don't know if you know the history. I don't know if Gigi told you how we started this one. It wasn't called Saturday Night Discussions. It
yeah,
was it was Behavior Change Consulting Services presents, and then we had a topic. It came out of the Kevin Smith
right.
saga, and Miss Garrett and I were like, Gigi, I think it was on a Facebook page. She said, no man, we need to talk about this. And we say, yeah, man, and the two will link up and we say we need to have a discussion about this from the perspective of psychology and theology. And we had so many persons on, and persons were really stalking, well, not you stalking, but they were really sending messages to Gigi and myself saying, when is the next episode? When are you guys gonna talk about this? And we formalized it and we said, all right, we're going to do it every Saturday. No, we won't do it haphazardly as we had done before, where we met on a Saturday and then on a Tuesday because look at Cascas coming in the news and we said, we have to address that quick. No, we made it a staple. We're on a Saturday now. We have this, and persons are really being persons are really benefiting from these programs. Persons have reached out to me concerning, especially last week program about depression. Persons are really benefiting from this program, and so you never know what God has in store for you. And I always tell
Mm,
people, don't try to figure out what God has in store for you. Just follow God. Like, don't try to see what the end result is going to be, because I doubt Geraldine knew that we would be doing this, and I
yeah,
doubt she knew that when we had our first Love FM interview, it would have
yes,
led to such big things and all of that. And so seasons. I always tell people the seasons change, but God remains the same, and His
mm,
promises remains the same over our lives. And for our season finale, we are talking about it's a topic that I've been talking about for years. I even went and did a presentation on it: image versus words. Um, how do you see yourself, and is image really most is image? They always say that words, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And then there's another thing that says a picture says 1,000 words, and we're looking at image, how your image can say a lot more than what you can actually verbalize, what you can actually say. And it's been a talk, and Denisha Jarrett was supposed to be on with us, but she had work and clashes like that. So I have to compete now with two amazing um psychologists who understands the whole thing of reconstructing the how people see themselves and how people go about presenting themselves. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight. When I studied psychology, they had this thing called the Johari window and all of that. And it is funny that people put on a mask because they want others to see them in a specific light. Others see something that you might not see know about yourself, and all those come down to the ending of, how do I present myself? We are in a society and where image is a lot. I have to tell you that for myself, image is a lot for me. For being in media for years, image is a lot. Like somebody was saying to me, why you can't do this? And I said, I cannot do that. Not because I'm a Christian, but I cannot do that because of the image that I've already have. I can't get that. They can't mess up the little image we may have. You know, I'm a former religious broadcaster. Me can't. You get me? I say, can't mess up the local image. And then it dawned on me, am I creating an image from societal perspective, or is my image based on God? And the way forward for how people, even in church, the image that we have and we've developed in church, is this image from a Christian worldview? Is this image from a biblical standpoint? Or is this image just something that I see Gigi this way and I want to be like that, so I find myself trying to do what she does, and so my image is not authentic? I'm a copycat, so we have copycatism of how people see themselves, and that's why we have we have one person having 10 people acting like them, sounding like them, preaching like them. So that's what I want us to talk about tonight. Image reconstructing, or reconstructing, and I need to get my words correct. Image reconstructing. How do I actually be me? Be me without the influence or trying to be like somebody else. Because really and truly, I believe that when we are masked up, we are stifled. Just like when in this COVID period, when you put on a mask for too long, you've either suffocated your own personality, you and you're not really being you. And my final word before everybody else talk, there's a preacher that I love, Dr. Jasmine Skolak, and she was saying, for years she has always wanted to be one of the great preachers, one of the great Dr. Iona Locke type of preacher and stuff like that. And God said to her, if you continue to try and be like everybody else, who is going to be you? If I have 10 million Geraldine, who is going to be Sosheina? Nobody can be you better than you. And that has resonated in me when she said, from that I have stopped trying to be like the other preachers, and I've come into my own, and this is my image that I've found in God, and this is the image that I'm presenting to the world. Good night, ladies.
Sosheina, you're mute. You can take it.
Yes, good night, guys. Good night, Erraldo.
Good night, favorite guest.
You're the favorite guest for true. Everybody's talking about you.
Yes.
They love little mix up on the pasta
They love
pasta.
me.
But I'm right here for it.
But image reconstructing though, Sosheina, what are your thoughts? As I listen to Erraldo, I'm saying to myself, it goes back to what I said last week. People must be their authentic self. You must be yourself. So you must be yourself at church, be yourself at work, be yourself. So if everybody knows, look here now, so Jerry stay, so she stand at work, so she stay at church, and so she stay at home, and so she stay in her community. So you're not somebody who think that you have different personality. Because when you're at church, you're a different person. When you're at work, you're a different person. When you're in a community, you're a different person. You understand? You should just be yourself. Who am I in God? Who did God call me to be? What are my characteristics? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I subscribe to? How am I going to fulfill my purpose with my personality traits or the characteristics that God has blessed me with? And I think that is where we have to blessings, Pastor Leng, blessing to you. That is where we have to start from when we talk about image reconstructing in my head. But let me hear our guest where she will take us as we look at this.
All right, so we're talking about image reconstructing, but I think we have to start at the genesis of it. Like, what are we reconstructing? What is our image, and why should we consider reconstructing anything at all? And Jerry mentioned a very important word, and that's the word that's going to permeate throughout this entire discussion, and that's the word of authenticity. A lot of us struggle with the whole concept of reconstructing ourselves because we are not authentic. We don't understand authenticity, which covers our identity and which really and truly covers our purpose. Now, the truth is, everybody needs to reconstruct themselves, but we have to make sure that when we decide to reconstruct, we are not reconstructing into another version of who we truly are, but we are reconstructing to our authentic selves. Because from the minute we were born until we kind of truly discover ourselves, we have been given our identity. We are given a name. We are given a gender. I remember we were talking about this two sessions ago, Jerry, where them say leave the bird paper open, let them decide. And we struggled with the issue, we discussed it. But here we can actually see again, we not agree, but we can kind of see the logic in it to say, allow the individual to decide, where it is that they're going in terms of their gender and the role that the gender would play. Right. So we're talking about what is your image? Your image is given to you, your name, your nationality, your family culture, your societal culture, your socioeconomic culture, all of those things you are socialized into. And socialization is really how it is that you learn about yourself and your culture. And if we think about even developmental psych and the sociology, we're saying that who we really are, even by the time we reach teenage stage, is something that is bestowed upon us, right? The denom that you belong to, chances are you are socialized into it. The political party that you are repping, chances are you are socialized into it. The way you speak, the way you move, you are socialized into it based on the high school you went to, based on the region that you are from. So a lot of us are walking around with an identity that was basically sewed into us because of all of these factors and these constraints. But there's going to come a time, and that's why teenagers have a lot of issues, right? And they consider it the rebellious stage, because this is when the teenagers are now trying to find their own self and they're trying to reconstruct their own image. But again, they're in this box because everybody is saying, well, you can't be here like that, you can't walk like that, you can't do this, you can't engage in this kind of activity. And if it's not your family, it's the church. If it's not your church, it is your social group, that kind of a thing. So teenagers during that critical time, they are really trying to find themselves. They're trying to deconstruct what was given to them as their image, your name, your family culture, all of that, and they're trying to find themselves. And that is why it's the most difficult stage for adults to accept, because you're now looking at this individual that you have groomed or helped to groom, and they are now trying to come out of the box. Yeah, but that's a beautiful stage, because that's the stage, if we're objective, that's the stage where we are allowing these individuals to say, all right, now, what do you want to do with your life? Now that you're at this stage, where do you want to go? And a lot of times it becomes an issue, because we feel as adults, we feel as though by letting them go and transform and even find their identity, we think that they're going to stray. and stray far from what we have kind of laid out for them. And so the tighter we pull, it is the more they become rebellious, and it is the more we lose them. So it brings me back now to the stage of reconstructing who they are. For those who are unable to kind of break out, they form back into space, and they decide, all right, they're going to go again and just conform to what everybody is saying. And so we find that we have adults that are genuinely unhappy with themselves because they are not able to freely be who they want to be. Now, the judge and the measuring stick of you is really defined by society. And again, that is the burden that a lot of individuals have on them. Because the minute you decide that you're going to be something, you're going to define or redefine yourself according to your likes and dislikes. If it goes against what society says is the norm, then of course you are treated like a sore thumb, and you are treated as an outcast, because that's the punishment for you to be different from what society dictates. And so people them can't bother with the Tory now, where y'all look for me funny and y'all treat me a particular way and so on and so forth. So might as well me just genuinely conform till either society catch up or me lose myself in it. So a lot of us are walking around with masks. A lot of us are fearful to be our true selves simply because we don't want to be considered an outcast. And an outcast is a person who does not look like and walk like what society or any group at all defines us to be. And so we have a serious problem.
Boy, you say a whole lot. You say a whole lot. Me there take notes. Could take some notes.
You still have take notes, Erraldo.
Big up Cameron in the Bahamas. But you said a lot, and you actually answered my first question, which is, do you think people create alternative image so to be accepted by society? And you basically gave the answer.
Yeah, man.
We've been given an image at birth, right? And I'm not gonna, and it's not the God image that we've been given at birth. It's the image based on culture and based on family. And,
absolutely.
And what I realized, and I love when you touch on developmental psychology, because realize that we have adults now who are regressing because of how they were raised to be and who they were raised to be like. And especially in our society, you know how parents raise children. I'm raising you so that you do not come out, or you don't experience what I've experienced,
or you don't shame me or shame the family,
or you don't shame me and shame the family. And so parents now instill in that child who they want the child to be.
Absolutely.
But they never yet sit with the child to find out
who they want to be,
who you want to be, how you feel, and how you see yourself in the future. And so we find people now going through the process of restructuring their image year after year. That's why you have some people, I'm not sure what part of Gigi, because I'm going to color my ear next week, but that's why you have some people where every week them in one different color, or them have one different tattoo, or them, and it's not all about being creative, but sometimes it's about finding themselves in the midst of all the personalities that they would have created or that would have been given unto them from childhood. They are trying to find that real, authentic self. And that sometimes can be problematic, because now you have to compete with the different personalities that you may have developed. And so some people think you're mad.
And it comes across in all different aspects of your life. When you talk about image, it's not just what you look like, but it's how you sound. It's really who you are as a person, as a brand. And that's another point that I'll jump into a little bit later. But what I'm saying now is that, and I'm not joking when I say a lot of persons are struggling with their authentic selves, because we have been socialized, especially by our parents, that in order for us to be considered a good daughter or a good son is how well we please our parents. Think about it. So if you do what your parent, your mother, your father, your grandmother want you to do, then you are considered well-behaved, you're considered the mother child, that kind of a thing. If you think about it deep enough, it is always the child who's trying to do something else, whether or not it's especially if it's not really in line with what the parents are saying. Not necessarily that it is bad, but for example, if you want to be a mechanic and your parents a doctor, you're going to find that they're going to try to encourage you into the doctoral role without saying, hey, what it is that you want, what do you really want to do? And I think it comes from just how children are defined in our culture. When you go east, and I've seen this on a lot of programs and understanding certain cultures, when you go east, far east, the child is seen as an individual in and of themselves, and the parents or the adults around them are pretty much their guide. And so what happens is that you as the child are growing, and it is the adults around you who are really supposed to say, okay, where do you want to go? And pretty much guide you in a sense. But here in the Western culture, it's all about leading you. You have Fimi Pitney, and Fimi Pitney now going to be this, and you have to be this, and you have to do that, and you're not turn no dancing, and that kind of a thing. And it's all about reproducing and recreating themselves in you. So my mother want me to be a doctor, so I have to be a doctor. My mother want me to be a lawyer. My mother want me to talk this way. My mother wants me to go to this school. My mother wants me to go to this church, that kind of a thing. And so we become the spitting image of our parents when we walk like them, we talk like them, and we are like the mini versions of them. And they don't understand that that is robbing us of our authentic identity. I am still your child, even if I don't want to look like you, none at all. I don't want to walk like you. I don't want to talk like you. I want the chance to be an individual in my own individual life. But again, based on the culture that we are growing in, that is seen as a no-no. I have whole heap of unhappy people walking around. You have whole heap of doctoring that them would have rather be underneath a car, a fixed chassis. You have a whole heap of mechanicing who would have rather go be mason, right? You have a whole heap of teachering, where they would have rather go do a little accounting work, but them parents run them. You're not going to be no accountant in here for the police come ackle my body, one go teach, that kind of a thing. And so we are walking around with different versions, and then it becomes extra complicated when you try to please your parents, yes, but then you end up in a one relationship. You try to be a pleaser to your spouse. You take on a whole new identity right here. So you decide to you go to church and you have little leadership qualities. You have to try to walk in that kind of model. So when you look, you have 5 different yous walking around, and God forbid if you ever mix up. What if the ghetto you bust out in a church, or the relationship you bust out at work? A problem, because they're going to say, Miss Garwood, is that really you? Right? And for those of us who are teachers, would know, like sometimes you want to go down in something and quarrel, and as you're about to open your mouth and defend, you look right, you hear a little voice in the back, Miss, hi. And you have to swallow it back, you understand? So we're really walking around with different versions of ourselves.
Well, when I saw the topic, I was excited because I believe that I am my authentic self, and many persons can't handle me. And when I hear you talk, Sosheina, I'm not afraid to get in my ghetto self if I'm in the church. And I'm not afraid to get in my ghetto self if I'm at work. And Erraldo can tell you that. And what I do, I am my authentic self. So if I go into lecture class, and I had I didn't have a good day. The first thing I was to my students, today was not a good day. So let us just get through this lecture this evening so I can leave out of here by 8:45. And you will hear who trouble Miss Garwood now. But they know me. I recognize that students knew who I was. One evening I came to the campus and I went to the registry, and something was not sorted out for me, for my class. And I saw a student, but she was coming to me. And then I heard her say, "Jeez, I can't go to Miss Garwood again. Can't see them upset her." I mean, no, here I know, no. And I know if I go to her, she'll go say, "Not right now, student. Not right now. Not right now, student." Or she would say, "Not today, not today." And I smile when I overheard her saying that to her peer, because they were actually coming to me about an issue, and they overheard me as I was dealing with them. And when I step outside, "Mister, you may come to Miss Sister, in a good mood. you know. Anyway, I'm facilitating them, but I realize that they know the type of person I am. And so I believe that you have to be yourself if you want to be comfortable in your skin. Because what you find is that people have, I would call it mixed personality. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't be a different person at church from a different person, at home from a different person, in your community from a different person, on your job. If you're somebody who is a person who is, you're not afraid to talk up for yourself, you're not afraid to take on challenges, you're not afraid, you will have to do so. And now we will say how you do so is possibly important based on if you're going to go theology, based on what is required of you from a Christian perspective. But I always say to persons, be your true self. Be your true self. Because that is why we have so many persons working with, because when they were children, they didn't get to be themselves. And I always give credit, to my grandmother and my father. My mother too, but I would say my grandmother, because she was our main caregiver while our parents were working. So we saw our grandmother, she cared for us. But my grandmother used to always say, I teach you right from wrong. Teach us the way. And if we go out there, we have to make our decision, right? But what I like is that when you made a mistake, you didn't feel like you were called down or so. And I always give that kudos to my father. If I get in trouble and somebody say they're going to tell my father, I'm glad. Because my father not why beat down on me because you're going to tell him not going to tell my father not going to do that, right? He's not going to let us feel uncomfortable because you come and made a complaint or you come and say something to him, and I try to practice that. I want to hear the other side before I speak on the issue if I'm dealing with children or stuff like that. So what I'm saying is that people have to get to that place where you have to be you, because when you are you, but we see, when you are you, Sosheina, like I know you are you. People, it's difficult for people to handle us. It's difficult for people to deal with our personality or our characteristics. They always have issue with it, right? Because they want you to be something else. And that's a challenge I have. I believe that, as you said earlier, from a child, and for those who are rearing children, you need to sit with your children from early, watch their skill set and develop those skill sets, and don't force them into what you want them to be. So I'm a pastor, my son must be a pastor. So you find that you have to pass down the church to your son. And your son don't want to be a pastor.
Struggling.
You understand what I mean? You're a teacher. My son or my daughter should go in the profession. No. While we know there is learned behavior, and you will find that some children will go in the profession as a result of a learned behavior. Right? So the learned behavior, their history of reinforcement, they come from a family of teachers, and generally you're going to find at least one of the children, becoming a teacher. A nurse, because it's a learned behavior. But like I would rather it goes like that than you saying that the person should be this or the child should be that. Right? We must not impose a personality on the child. We must not impose an image on the child or on any individual. Right? As I rather talking earlier about, the person, somebody saying to him, but you are a radio broadcaster and things like that. People create image for people, and people create image for if you're a pastor, or you should look, or you should dress. People create image for you if you're a teacher. And while I believe that some professions call you to be a model, right? I really think so. Some professions call you to be a model, and I think one of such professions, especially, is the teaching profession. Pastoralist, but the teaching profession. When you're a teacher, you are really called to be a model, because you have a number of persons looking up to you. It doesn't mean that you can't be your authentic self while you're being a model to your students. And it's the same thing in the pastorate. You know, it doesn't mean that you can't be your authentic self while you're being a pastor to the church. So what you find is a number of persons, as you said, Sosheina, are stifled. They are really stifled, and they're not walking in their what I would call to God-given purpose because they're not being who they are. You know, Erraldo spoke about earlier about everybody want to preach like a particular preacher. I know of a particular bishop, and he has a pastor in his church. And when that man preach, he walk like the bishop, he preach like the bishop, he's made the same song like the bishop. And I'm saying this man is just taking on the bishop and not being himself. You understand? Again, you have to find yourself. And in order for you to find yourself, you have to get to that place where you understand who you are. Because there are many persons who are living what I would call a compartmental lifestyle. And so because of that, they do not know who they are. So you need to find who you are first. Because I believe that many persons have died and have not been their true self. And I'm glad for this topic because we are encouraging you. Because we go to the end of the year, that for one thing you need to do as you introspect, find your true self. Who are you? What do you want to be? What is your image? I mean, and if you're going from a theological perspective, what is the call of God in your life? What God wants me to do for him? How does he want me to build his kingdom? And building his kingdom doesn't mean preacher, evangelist, pastor, apostle, prophet. Build his kingdom while you're an accountant, build his kingdom while you're a nurse, build his kingdom, because kingdom building, when you talk about kingdom building, people think it's only for church. So you must have an office in the church. You are building the kingdom wherever you find yourself to be. So who should God want me to be while I'm in this profession as a lecturer, while I'm in this profession as a psychologist, while I'm in this profession as a nurse, as a teacher, as a cosmetologist? You know, I know of a child, a young girl, when she left Grove High School, she had 7 subjects. And her father, when she decided that she wanted to go into cosmetology and she loved nail check, and, making up wigs and those things. I remember her father was enraged. He was enraged. So anyway, and he came to me and he said, you can let's go with some subject and I will turn hairdresser, a bank, she will work in a bank. Because he didn't see her as that. He's saying you can't have so many subjects and go into cosmetology. You must be in the bank work if you do. You understand? And I had to have a talk with him and say, no, it's what she like. It's what she like. Whether she has subjects or not, this is what she likes, with her passion. And today, she's doing well. She's doing well at what she loves. Using her hands to make people look beautiful. And she's doing exceptionally well. So what I'm saying is that you have to allow people to be who they are to be.
That is so true.
So I think I've developed, or I entered into teaching because of a learned behavior. I'm from a family of teachers. My grand aunt was a principal, my auntie was a principal, all of them teach me. And so, well, teachers and nurses. So I think I went into that field. But I'm the only person in my entire family who studied counseling. And my mother, I love my mother a lot. My mother is the type of person that says, why you grew up like how me did grow up. In terms of, why you get everything you want. Mommy and daddy did work hard for me, so we had it. And I thought, when I went to my mom and I told her when I left high school, and I said to my mom, I'm going to seminary, I'm going to study Bible. I thought my mother would have said, are you an idiot? That now give you no money. But it's so interesting that I have to give props to my parents because I would have thought that they would tell me who I need to be. But they actually made the platform so broad enough for me to explore. When I told them I'm going to study theology, they were like, all right, go on and study theology. A long time I preach to the tree, then run a back. So we understand. And when I finished my theology degree and went into counseling, went in counseling in the education system, and I told my mom now, all right, now I'm going to do a master's in theology. May I expect again? Then they say, all right, you got too far now with this. We need to start do X, Y, and Z. But again, the platform was there to say, all right, go ahead and do that. But we don't find many people getting that, growing up and getting that opportunity. And so now it's hard to rediscover or to even discover who you are. How do I throw away all this all this personality that has been given to me, all the identity that has been given to me? How do I put that aside and find the real me? Because there are persons living a life that they dress a particular way because they want people to respect them. And so I'm going to always wear jacket and tie and all of that, because based on my idea of people respect. I remember when I just started preaching, Miss Garwood, I love ecclesiology. I love the ecclesiastic look of the church. So I'll preach in a robe when the time comes. But I remember the first time I started preaching, your Bible never big like my Bible. Because me I grew up and the pastor must always have a big Bible, because the big Bible shows him holy and people will respect him. And so when I just started preaching, my Bible big, and see me a little bit, I'm in a 3-piece suit and tie choke me and all of that, because at one point I wanted to be like the pastor. I wanted to get that same honor and respect as a pastor, until I realized, look where the big Bible started heavy. And the jacket suit in the summertime started hot. And it took me a while to find who Erraldo really is, especially in a ministry area. It took me a while when I started preaching in jeans, because I feel like if I be a bit comfortable with Jesus, and I'm not supposed to go on church or preach, and I can't take off the jacket suit because the pastor tell me say, taking off the jackets, the jacket, even though I don't want 3-piece, taking off the jacket is not good. Yeah, I must sweat and burn up in there. So to prevent that, I start preaching in nice shirts now that don't require me to be wearing too much clothing. But while it wasn't hard for me to, in my ministry life, to find that image, for some people it's hard for them right now, and they're still searching to find who they really are. And that's why we find people in school. Much people in an education system, they tell us they enough work in a school system. I think my name is big at the Ministry of Education Region 1. Come I tell people say, all uno this for work run at the side of the department, run at the back, a building tree when nobody not see uno. It's time to tell them. No, and yeah, some people that are in school, and I met teachers who I literally pull them one side. Now I'm young when I started counseling, but I pulled teachers one side and said, are you sure this is the profession you want to be in? Because I don't get the vibe. I don't get that. And so they would, and most teachers will tell me that I've had encounters with in high school. This what my mother used to do. That's what your mother used to do. And then tell me if I become teacher. And so then become teacher. And I think teachers are one of the most stressed profession, because you have to put on so much image. Because you have to have an image for the school, you have to have an image for the parents, you have to have an image for the student. But how do I find the real me? What do I do?
When it comes on to understanding that, and you have said it in your discourse, because you started somewhere. You started with saying that these persons in your life, aunts and everybody, was teacher, and therefore you catch on to that and so on, and then you started the discourse to say, all right, and then when you started in theology, this is what you were doing, and then you decided that, hey, this wasn't me, and that kind of thing. I want to make it clear that when you are self-discovering, it's not linear. It's not about, okay, you're just going to wake up and you see the image right there and you move towards it. It is always about taking a step out and making adjustments along the way. With that said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a starting point of influence from different persons. My mother is a principal, before that a vice principal. She's been in the teaching profession for about 50 years. My aunt was a teacher and a principal up until the time of her passing. So I am from a family of that. Now, I can't knock that, because I believe a part of why I was born into a certain family means that there are certain things that's actually going to shape you. Like, me not supposed to be a goat and born in a one cow family. You understand? Me's going to be a goat born in a goat family, and the type of goat that I'm going to become now is going to be dependent on what I keep afterwards. I say that to say, so if you are destined to be a teacher, for example, there is nothing wrong with you being born in a family full of educators, because that is genuinely going to influence your life. But when you're on that journey, you have to consistently do self-assessment, right? To say, okay, all right, mother teacher, auntie a principal, so on and so forth. You're comfortable in this. If you're comfortable in it, trot along. But if you look at your sister, boy, this is not really for me, not because you're born into it means that you're actually going to continue. Because you're shaping of your authentic self means that you have to be authentic with yourself. And you can be a person for a season, you know, which brings me to the second point. You mentioned earlier that, okay, you have your big Bible, you did want your big Bible and so on. And I am sure in the moment when you got the big Bible and the three-piece suit, you were okay in that image for a period of time till you start to burn up. You say, hold on, I don't mean this, and you kind of put that down. You understand? So it doesn't mean that you weren't being authentic in the moment when you wanted the big Bible and you wanted to be the three-piece suit. So you were authentic in that moment. But your authenticity in the shaping of yourself continued when you realized that, all right, that season they're done, let me know, dress down. And I was similar to you in terms of delivery. The high heel shoes and the makeup and the anatomy that not keep for me at all. That kind of a thing. That's just not who I am. I tried one time because I was trying somebody else's image, and it took me 30 years for go up the podium, and I had to stand up one place and lean on one foot. And when the shoe started to burn me, I lean on the other side or whatever. Then I said, but I know you do this because I have to move. And at that time, I was in an era where guest speakers would stand on ceremony and they would speak from the podium. I said, no, sir, that's not me at all. I'm rather dramatic. And because I am going to move and interact with the audience and run up and down and play games with you, girly high heel shoes now go work. So after that one incident, I pack it, and then I put on my nice slippers and with my pants or whatever, and that was me. And I recognize even in the delivery and the discovery of my authentic self, say I am a brand. And if the highfalutin people don't want to select you because you must wear a 6-inch stiletto, I know your crowd, that means because you can't run in a 6-inch stiletto, but you are a brand, and the people who you are able to deliver to effectively will move to you. And I recognize that, oh, I'm still never short a speaking engagement because persons were now saying, okay, this is what they look for. So sometimes if you are afraid, when you are afraid to be yourself on the road to discovery, what you do is that you stifle the flavor that people would want of you. And I recognize that even in myself, I never just certain set of people call and ask for me to be a guest speaker and to run this and give compliments afterwards and good reviews. And people all over the place, some big places and so on. And I say, oh, really? So I understood on that road to discovery and on that road to owning my authentic self, say, yes, it is okay to genuinely be you, and everybody are gonna be, you're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. And that is absolutely fine. You get what I'm saying? But I think a lot of us are fearful because we want all of society to pretty much accept us, and that's not going to work. And if you are on the process of becoming your brand, once you understand that you are a brand, and it means that all aspects of your life is coming together to form that brand, which family you grow into, or them talk, or them speak, so on and so forth. You take what you can, you put down what you don't want, you mix something else in it, that kind of a thing. It's going to be you, and therefore it is going to be authentic to you, and it is going to be unique to you. So you don't have to be fearful. And the more you begin to hone yourself and your skills, it is the more you're going to respect yourself, the more you're going to love yourself, and the more you're going to be able to deliver on the brand that you are. And I think everybody needs to get the point. We'll have to stop looking at other persons with this role model kind of a thing and say, I am going to be this person. No, be like this person if the person is being their authentic self. Walk away with that principle. Don't be the person to jump and prance or whatever. I remember having an experience with a friend of mine. We were in a circle when she started to work where I work. She was the opposite of me. At first, I say identity disaster out of me two eye. I've heard about it, I've read about it in the DSM, but me never know said could have been all in my eye. When I met her, I respected her as an individual. I tell her, say, really uptown. You don't know me, got 3 times you come on the program. So you have to ask Christ about my personality, right? She's very slender, very brown, wear long Brazilian hair in a back, lipstick, you don't know me, you don't have a show, right? And she came and she was really uptown in her demeanor. And I respected her as a friend and for that. Different, but we're cool. And then slowly I realized, like everybody starts saying, Sosheina, you know, she said this individual are morph into you. Miss me. So they were saying, yes, you know, look, all of the character traits now started to morph. She started to morph into me. I say, but I want me for morphing. I'm a bail over here, start trying to find my little self. What is happening? She take off the ear, she'll start to wear puff, and she started to be more down to earth. And this a girl where we wear high heel shoes, go everywhere now. She start wear jeans and whatever. And I'm saying, what? And I realized that I had to pull away from that individual because I said, no man, she should be me. She start sound like me. And I found it very scary. And I'm saying that happens in a group dynamic when you are not your authentic self. After I pulled away, I saw her in another setting. Couple years passed and I saw her in another setting, walking with a group of persons, and she was still not her authentic self because she looked like the people them who she was walking with. And I'm saying that to say that it sounded textbook to me because I've never experienced it before. I guess because a lot of my friends are pretty much like me. You know, we kind of share the same kind of persona, different, but we kind of have the same kind of vibes. Like when me and Miss Garwood, we kind of have the same vibes. But when you're hanging out with somebody and you realize that they're morphing into somebody else, it is a dangerous thing. And I'm saying, how long has she been morphing into other person's personality? And people don't know. So when I met her, she just come out of somebody's personality, walking with that personality until she could chameleon herself into both of us in this particular group. I'm saying that to say there are a lot of persons who are not their authentic selves simply because they are able to morph into other people's personality and hide who they really are until somebody discovers it. And it is really and truly dangerous. The world is supposed to be a world of variety in all aspects. We're not supposed to worship the same way. We're not supposed to talk the same way. We're not supposed to, preach or whatever it is the same way. We all have our own different flavors and so on. But because of fear, because we feel like we are not good enough as who we are, or the world won't accept us as we are, we tend to hide, and that's a dangerous place to be.
I want to add to that because you've really hit it on the head. I mean, everything that you have said is really the reality of what is. But I think another thing is that people tend to feel like everybody should like them. As I said, everybody should be in your car. Everybody not going like you.
Impossible.
People tend to want to find meaning through other persons. No, you don't need to find meaning through other persons, right? You find meaning of yourself when you examine yourself and understand who you are, right? If everybody like you, something is wrong.
Yes.
And you must not be afraid to be disliked.
Oh yes.
And that it's a good thing to know that people dislike you, So you say that to some people, they understand. How can you say that? It's a good thing to know that people dislike you because their dislike can also help you into how you shape yourself as well. So not everybody is going to like you. So you have to get to that place where you can sit down and strip yourself. I want to use that word. And look at yourself and saying, am I being a copycat of somebody else? Am I being true to myself? Not everybody's going to like, and I'm not going to. You must not live your life for people to like you. I believe the most important thing is that, as you talk about, you create your brand, you build your brand, you create your you, and you be your you. As long as Skinner would say, you're comfortable within your skin. It's very important that you're comfortable. So when you go out there, as Sosheina spoke, I think about my own self as I go out there and I train educators, and I realize that when I'm as a part of the team, sometimes the educators, I remember we were having a workshop and I wasn't going to be able to go the following day, and I was sharing that, and everybody in the workshop, Miss Garwood, hope it's not going to be boring because your vibes and all of that. And I was saying to them, each person come to the table differently. So we have to learn to get from certain people. Although while I agree that we come differently, we must always learn to engage our audience and keep them engaged.
Absolutely,
Each person is different. So we have to say that the person's different, So therefore, I am saying that you don't try to be a copycat of anybody. You be yourself and know that not everybody is going to like you, and that is okay. It is okay. But because some people walk around, they moped if they realize that they're not accepted there, they're not liked here. As you said, Sosheina, the right person will pull for you.
Absolutely. I wanted to make an important point there as you spoke. I think that our generation is now going down. Me not gonna say a slippery slope, but this a slope here more than slippery, right? Because the world of social media is making every single person into two things. Everybody is looking alike, sounding alike, talking alike. If you think about it, everybody have this particular look. And second of all, if it is that you don't have 1 million followers, or if you put up a picture and a video and if 800,000 people not like it, then you think that something is wrong with you. And you either take it down or go sit in a one corner and mope and that kind of a thing. So we are moving in a world, not moving, we are existing in a world and a culture right now where there is hardly a sense of authenticity, because if you don't look like what you turn on your Instagram page and the people then pop up and look like and live the lavish lifestyle, then you say that there is something wrong with you and you hide away your true self to morph into what you see on social media. You have to have the frontal lace, your body shape have to be a certain dimension, you have to have how much likes and whatever, you have to be snapping and chatting and so on, and you have to be posting things and people have to repost and you have to be viral and all of that. And we are in that dangerous era where we all look like the cookie cutter kind of a thing. In order for you to be hip and hype, you have to have the cookie cutter kind of mentality. You must look a particular way, either this way or that way, but you have to look. Our young men are all turning into choppers and bleach out people with slippers over ears and so on, because that's the image that is being presented to them as being socially acceptable. As a female, your derriere have to be of a particular size and your frontal have to all the way down there, and you have to be made up completely. And I'm saying, what about when you and I were growing up and all you did have to do is wash your face and step out? No, nobody don't even want to go to the shop without the makeup, because that is how you're socialized. And you know that is not your authentic self. You talk a particular way. Like, so, that kind of, I mean, I say, really? You understand? All of a sudden, you don't like this, you're into that, and all of that. Why?
You all have to give labor and makeup now. You're going in the labor. You have to put on makeup.
You have to put on makeup.
And make sure you're well cute to
put up on all of these things, yes.
And
they can't give birth looking ugly.
No, you can't give birth. No. Social media is really has put us into a danger zone.
It's a cookie cutter, and it robs you of your identity. It robs you of your identity.
It's sad for our young people, and our young men too. When you look at what social media is doing, it is destroying a number of persons.
Of course.
And so again, right here, we're saying if you need help to find out who you are, go get a therapist. I am saying because I have met so many fake persons and people who are struggling with their identity. They don't know who they are. And a number of them are also in our churches. They are hiding behind the spirituality. You
Yep.
understand what I mean?
Trying to fit in.
We touched on a topic a couple weeks ago when we talked about the LGBTQ community, because we have a number of young people in the church who are struggling with their sexuality and hiding in the praise and worship team, and hiding in the pulpit too, and hiding in various activities. And you need to come out and look here, it's a hard pill to swallow, you know, but the self-image thing and reconstruction itself, it's very wide, Erraldo. This topic is very wide.
Yeah,
That's really wide. You have to get to that place where if you feel like you are struggling, you can say to your family, whether they will accept it or not, look here now, me have an attraction to men, or me have an attraction to women. You have to come out, and then if they feel or you feel and you talk about that you need to get some help, you know, then you go and get the help. But what I'm saying that you have to come out and say how you feel, what your struggles are. You have to come out and say what your struggles are. Some people are not, they are fearful to say their struggles because they don't want people to say that, oh, Miss Garwood can have that struggle, or Miss White can have that struggle, and they are professionals and they are all of that. No, you have to really come out and say who you are and be your true self. Identity.
You you said a lot, because no, we touch on a whole lot, and I don't want to like narrow it down as we get to the wrap up part. But whole church has whole church society tradition and culture has impacted the identity of people. And you said it, you rightfully said it, Miss Garwood, that we have some people in church and they literally hide behind a specific persona. Could it be because of I think there are probably multiple factors. That one, growing up, they have been scarred, and so their image from a childhood is something that they're trying to suffocate, and in suffocating that, they're suffocating who they really are because of the hurt that has not been dealt with in the family. Two, it can be from church. These people who jump from church to church, and each church them take on them not get rid of the last person, you know, the last church personality.
Yes.
They just add on another personality to that personality and have not dealt with the past issues. And so we find these people in church. And I can tell you from being an itinerant preacher in Jamaica. I think I've preached in all parishes of Jamaica and in multiple denominations. And I've been to churches where I know, thank God for discernment, but just not discernment alone. You can just do observation and know this person is not real. Then fake, then sound fake, then look fake. And for some of them, it is not that they want to be this, but it is as if they have to. If you understand, it's like, I mean, I don't want to do it, but I just feel like I have to do it. If I don't do it, then X, Y, and Z. To keep our persona, to keep up a look.
And again, it comes from just how strongly certain denoms and denom culture and church culture really is, because there are some that you can see somebody out a road and you can readily identify the denom that they belong to because of how they are, right? We don't want to call no names, but it is. And so you find that, again, it's a cookie cutter kind of a thing. And the persons know it's almost like I'm able to mimic it, I'm able to fit it, just kind of tuck and roll. It's like the blueprint that is there, the script that is there. From I follow that, then I would be accepted and nobody won't look at me differently. And so there is no you in anything at all. There is just this duplication and reproduction of the culture that is there. And and the church is responsible for that. You understand? Because the pressure is there to grow you in that particular way. And if it is that you ever deviate in any way, shape, or form, then you are considered to be a deviant. And so you get put out, and the church hopping now takes place because the individual again is trying to find where it is that they genuinely belong. You understand? So it has to be a space where you are allowed to develop as an individual your own identity, and then you are placed in whichever area that is best suited to you, rather than, okay, there you are, come and fit into this. Because the minute you say, all right, no, then your rejection of it is now taken out of proportion and considered to be something else, and then you are put up.
Yeah. You know, and as I talk about church, I remember a young lady shared with me, and I said, yeah, church culture is can be overbearing, and when you try to find yourself, it can seem like you're a rebellious person. You know, she says to me that, you know, if I meet my pastor on the street and I'm in her pants, if I see the pastor, she don't call us. She hold her head straight. Right? Straight. But when you reach a church, you're in a skirt or you're in a one long something, she greet you, and that is, you know. And what you said to me, I'm like, in this era, I really was surprised. Yes, in this era, and I'm like, wow. So I say, you know me now. When me in a church, I'm in a long skirt, and she can't call to me either. I mean, not my answer. And that's exactly what I said, because if you can't call to me in a pants, if me no want pants out the road, and you can't call to me if me no want skirt, then don't call to me any at all, because it's the same me. You understand? Yeah. So, and it goes to show, I remember years ago when I was a child, there was a church within my community where they never wore jewelry, they never wore, and I'm not bashing church and the rules, but I'm just giving an example why I know that people are not their authentic self. They never wore jewelry, they never do the hair, natural hair, long skirt, all of that. And they got a pastor. And when the pastor came, the pastor preached a sermon, and in his sermon, he paused and he said, why all the women in the church look so dowdy? These young girls look, you know, like they're old women. Why do they carry themselves like this? You know, and he was talking. And the pastor, he took over the church. The man changed the rules. So if no one see the people them come to church, the women them must go fix up themselves and you know, look good and all of that. By the next week, Sosheina, some old bead where some people come out in the cousin bead now, so all bead around everybody else. So weird things change about the church, man. Some old bead where you miss people them have them the bead a long time when them will want to wear but can't wear it because they must tie for themselves. Me say people come out with ear cream, ear press out, and when you look upon them, you know, and it says to me, look how these people were not being true to themselves. They were just under rule governed behavior because of their religion, right? And while I'm saying I'm not bashing people and the rule, we have to move. If we as a church of the living God wants people to be their true identity, we have to look back at some of those rules that we're using to stifle people, and we have to let people be themselves, because our Christianity is not bounded in rules. Our Christianity is not bounded in how we attire, you know, and things like that. While we're not going to expose our body, we're going to have a sense of modesty. Our Christianity is not based on that. Our Christianity is based on the trueness of our heart. A clean and a pure heart shall see God. It is based on service to mankind. It is based on kingdom building and how you are reaching out to the lost. It is not based on how you look, But throughout the century, throughout the years, Christianity was based on a look, a particular image, or you should attire when you go to church. And I always tell people that I'm glad I wasn't brought up in a church like that. I was brought up in a church where people would say my church and a church, a high society church, me go Sosheina. Right, that's where people classify my church as. When I say, "What church you from?" and I say, "I'm from the United Church in Jamaica, Cayman Island." "Oh, you're from Society Church." I Society Church. That's what they used to say to me. They always said that no, but we not my church. If you want, where you wear at the wear. If you don't want, wear at the wear no sleeve, wear no sleeve. You don't want, wear no sleeve, wear no sleeve. You are comfortable. And we're not saying people come in a church naked. Because we couldn't say that either. But you are comfortable in who you are, and you go to church and you feel comfortable, right? There's no stringent rule hanging over people's head, but you want people to be their true self. You want people to find themselves, and in finding themselves, find themselves in God and their purpose in God. And that's why you see a diet. We are seeing now a shift in the church. If you notice, so you go to some church now, praise and worship team now in a jeans pants and t-shirt and shirt, polo shirt and shirt blouse. Pastor now in a slippers and long skirt and jeans, and Jamal have dressed down Sunday now at church, and church have won. Because you realize that worship that is what is critical to our life. Worship, Christian living, being kind, bearing the fruit of the spirit, having self-control and all of that. It's not about, what you have on and things like that. So people have to find their image also in the church, but the church itself, can stifle people and not allow people to find their image. And I always use this word, Zion can be a dangerous place, because you go to this place to be a safe place, a place of refuge, to help you to find yourself, to help you to explore, to help you to be your best in Christ and who Christ wanted to be. But when you go there, most times people feel stifled. And that is why when we look at, is the church relevant for society today? You can go and watch a discussion. When I look back at the discussions had with Amoy Lawrence, she brought out some critical points why young people today and young adults, some of them are not seeing the relevance of the church for society, because the strategies of the church are still archaic. The church refuses to change its methodology in how we minister and reach out to people. We're still holding on to those rules. A young man come in the church, he was a shutter, and him get saved, and let him come in the church, so you want him to, no, you think he must go get everything out of him, so you have to go teach him the word now, give him support, mold him, things like that, to get him into what God wants him to be, and understand himself in God and understand the transformation process as he goes through, this Christ-like lifestyle. So again, the church is a place that can be dangerous when it comes to people exploring their image, because the church has already put in place an image for you. Now, if we go to theology, we know we have a biblical image that Christ gives us, and that image is be ye holy because I, the Lord, I am holy. No, the holy Christ never tell me, say, no wear hat, no wear pants, no wear this, no wear that. He say, be ye holy because I am holy. Right? Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, strength, mind. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. A heart like Christ. That's the image that Christ wants of us. Interesting, and that image fits so well in psychology. Sosheina, because it fits so well. A heart like Christ, a good heart, a clean heart, a stable mind. A stable mind. Able to make good. Make proper solutions, proper decisions, problem solving techniques and all of that, able to socialize with people well, because you need that so that you can meet out and reach persons. So that is really the image that Christ has given to us. But what I find is that we, the church, have created our own man-made image for people. And in doing that, we are destroying people.
I was listening to a pastor back home. I can't call her name because she did the program yesterday. Reverend Marjorie Brissett Dyer. Now, I remember the first time I went to Miracle Open Bible, and I saw this woman. I must say, no, that woman is too real. She is a member of the clergy, and she's from the Open Bible Church. And I attended Open Bible Church in my earlier years. I mean, no Open Bible Church tradition stay. And Reverend Marjorie girl, our makeup on fleek, our nails on fleek, our clothes on fleek. And she big, you know, she fluffy. So everything just dip on fleek. And she said in our program yesterday, it's so interesting because this is long before me tell you the topic, Gigi. Yesterday she was having this very same conversation, and she was telling us how when she was in the world, that's how she love her nails, she loves to look good, and she don't believe so when she come to Christ, she will just stop look good because she come to Christ. No, she know we're supposed to look good for Christ. And the church, and that she was saying that the church would say to her, well, you can't dress like that, you can't wear nails like that, or we're going to, like, I don't remember verbatim, but like they would say, we're going to put you at the back bench, or we're going to, you can't do anything in the church. And she looked at them and she said, all right, all of the tithes I'm going to give, where it fix the church, I want to give me them back. And I don't want to give them in a cash, I don't want to give them in a check, I want to give them in a cash, because cash me pay the tithes, you know. And she's hilarious. But at the end of it, she said, because I am not going to stifle who I am because of everybody else around. And she shared this, that somebody went overseas, and so she used to host IFCF concert, and somebody went overseas. Them don't remember her name, them don't remember where she come from. Them talk to somebody and them say, the lady will have the nice fingernail. She touched me life. Serious something. And she said, imagine if I had just changed my personality, changed my look to please other people, the impact on others wouldn't have been so great. And that's the problem that we have. We have many persons who are stifling their true personality, their true identity that is able to bless other people, and they're taking on the sound of a bishop or the sound of a pastor. I feel like I know how we are talking to Gigi. If I know how we are talking, I strongly feel like I know how we are talking. They sound like a bishop, walk like a bishop, I'll speak their tongues like a bishop. And if they do all of that and don't be their true self, then they're robbing society. So Sosheina said it, they're robbing society of the different personalities that we're supposed to have. Well, we can't walk around look the same. I would not be comfortable if me see more Erraldo. I will not be. Me know me stay no. So if me see no for me, no, me I have a problem. Cause me miserable. Me just me know. I mood. Me love Miss Garwood, but me wouldn't want no for Miss Garwood. Me can only take so much a GG, and me can't go deal with about 10 more GG because she's too strong. You get me? I say she real. And we just have to we have to be real with the fact that people are waiting on us to be our real self. And that's what the Bible teaches. You know, we are created in God's character image to look like God. It don't mean if we wear full white. You have the church and we all them wear every Sunday full white. Me could go to that church because me can't wash white. So we have to ensure that the image that we are structuring is in line with a biblical worldview. How is it that God wants us to look? As Miss Garwood said, we don't want you to come naked, but dress comfortably and behave comfortably. Do something that you know you love. Don't do something because somebody say you're supposed to do something. Like somebody tell me, say, why me I study theology when we could have go study something else? And me say, look here, if me go study something else, me not go find much joy in it. And yeah, me go study theology, and me go up on Facebook and say Greek a beat me. I don't know why me come take up my ugly self, come a fire and come study Greek for 4 years. But me know why me I do it, and me love why me I do it, versus everybody go study something else now.
Versus video study media. I think most persons saw you in the media arena, and because you're at FM, a number of persons say, you know, that and you do well at it. I mean, because I've said that to you, you do well in it. And it's always good to what I would say, explore options. you know.
Yeah.
So nothing is wrong if you get the time later and you did a short course in it. But you know your passion is for theology, and that is fine, right? That is where your passion is. Because sometimes you go after things and that is not what is for you. When I was younger, and we're being our authentic self, I can share my own personal life. When I was younger, all I wanted to do was make money. And I started to that time accountant used to make enough money. So me say me going to the accounting field because me want make enough money, right? And me go take up say me go do A-level account and me feel it, right? Me take up again, down do, and my first job after leaving high school was accounts. I was accounts receivables. I used to call people for when they have outstanding monies for the company, help with the credit control officer and all of that. So I spent a lot of time some time in accounts. I end up working at the Bank of Jamaica for a short while. I was working with a lot of money, that's what I wanted. But then I realized I wasn't happy until one day, and I mean, God rest bless his soul, may his soul rest in peace, Reverend Norman Francis, when he was placed at my church. I always had a knock for inner city people. He came with a program where we had a camp, summer camps for children at risk. And when I started to work with those children, I realized that this is where my passion is, to help young people to be their best self, to serve people. That was where my passion is. And so I realized that the social work field was what I was being called to. Social work, counseling, helping persons. But then I was called to ministry. And as I sought the Lord, I said, Lord, how should I balance this out? And so you prepare yourself. So as I'm saying to Erraldo, I did my undergrad in theology. Then I went ahead and I did social work first at the University of West Indies. And I went and I did theology. And then I did psychology, and so all the fields now I use to integrate as I serve people, because my passion is to serve people. I want to empower people. I want to build up people. And that is why I'm so passionate about the Saturday night discussion, because I want to empower people. I want to build up people. I want people to be their true self and their best selves. So many persons on their deathbed, a child asked me the other day, he held up his hand and he said, Miss, what is a deathbed? I said, it's when somebody's dying and they're on their bed and they're about to take their last breath. And I was explaining to him, and I said, too many persons on their deathbed or their dying bed have regrets that they didn't accomplish many things in life. And they could have done it. They have regrets. And we don't want that. We want persons to be their true self. And so for me, I think it as Sosheina said, there are seasons, but as your life progresses, you come into who you really want to be and what God has called you to be. And when you get to that place where you say, yeah, man, I find my niche, or I find my passion, I want to serve people in whatever capacity. I want to develop programs to lift up people. I want to empower people, whether it's through the church, whether it's through lecturing, because I love to impart knowledge. I love to impart knowledge. I love to train people. I love to consult with people. Anything to empower people. That is my passion. So you can hear it. It drives me. Therefore, I know that I am now at my authentic self. And so I am comfortable with who I am. And as Erraldo said, yes, I am a strong person. I am a strong person. And so, yes, I'm comfortable with that. And that is where you want people to get to. You don't want people to be psychologically imbalanced. And as Sosheina said, too many persons out there are at that place. And is the church helping? I don't think the church is helping a lot with helping with those persons. Not to say we are not doing that, because as a church, we are still creating this man-made image for who people ought to be. And when you look at the Bible, there is a clear image, and that image is in line with all I've said. Service to mankind, live right, clean heart, clean hands, pure heart, serving people, being your true self, loving, caring, the fruit of the Spirit, all of those things. That is the image we're called to be. Your image is not really and truly. And we know that dress codes can come with some things,
Mm-hmm.
but as Sosheina said, I'm agreeing with her. You
Mm-hmm.
know, say you want to, your brand is when you go to people, you have to move about and go through the crowd and all of that. You're not going to wear heel shoes, you know. And it's true, when I go out and I'm training people and I'm traveling far, I may not wear flat, that's true, but I'm not wearing a heel shoes that I can, because I have to move about and interact with educators and go through the chairs and go through the desk. And if I'm around
Right.
children, I have to be moving about. So you create your brand, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
are not saying you're going to go to a place looking a certain way, because I
Yeah.
still believe that how you attire still speaks to your brand and what you
Mm-hmm.
are called to do. And I don't want to take up the
Mm-hmm.
time, but I remember going to a training with and I was one of the trainers in a forum with some educators and guidance counselors. And I remember I had to pull a young guidance counselor aside and I'm saying, sir, your pants is too tight. When he had on his pants, you could literally see his genitals pulping out. The pants was sucked on him. And I pointed this out to him. I said, your school rule is saying that the students should wear their pants how many inches apart from their body, right? So they have a school rule, you know. They don't want the boys. If the boys come to school and the pants too tight, you have to take
Mm-hmm.
razor and slit it. I mean, everyone can know that most school doing that and let it out. But your pants must be worn a certain way for school. And I said to him, as the educator, if you go to school like that, you are not in a position to talk to your students about their uniform pants. And that's how I got him to see it. He never, I respected that young guy. He listened to me and he agreed. And I said, look here, you remember, you know, you are the educator. And if you want them to do certain things, so it's like me. I do not take my phone to my classes because one of my classroom Erraldo can tell is that you don't use your phone in my class
Or your laptop.
or your laptop. So I don't take it. And I have my reasons for that, right? Because they're not using the laptop to do anything when I'm on Facebook in your class, them on Skype in your class. Can I tell you? The first experience I had with a young man why I changed my rule is that one day I see a student giving me some eye contact and then I hear the student raise. I said, this guy, why don't you walk about the class? I'm wondering why he kept saying that to me, you know.
Which
So
inform of that?
I got up and I started talking and walking around. When me look man, when I Skype with him girl half naked, I Skype and foreign in my class. While me a lecture myself, and then him have the audacity to raise him and more time to ask what me say again. And I say, look here, you don't need a laptop in my class. I'm going to post my lecture on the focus system and you can go back through it and write any little notes you want and stuff. And you don't use a phone in my class. Right? Don't bring those things. And I am the only one with a laptop in here because I'm projecting to the screen and I don't take my phones to class. So I believe that if you are going to require certain things of your students and of people, you yourself have to lead by example,
Yeah.
right? So that is, I really do believe that. So I spoke to him on that matter, and I said the same thing. If you're an educator and you require the girls to wear their uniform skirt at least 2 inches below the knee for most schools, right? Then you as a teacher can have your skirt 3 inches above your knee. And when you got the board and you raise your hand to wipe at the board or write at the board or wipe off the board, the students can almost see under your skirt. Again, I do believe that you have to ensure that you fit your brand. So you, what I would say, you model your profession. And in modeling
Yeah.
your profession, you're not changing your image, but your profession still calls for certain kind of, demeanor while you still be your authentic self, right? So I really believe that, but at the same time, many persons are lost. Tonight we are saying, get back to your authentic self. Take a step back, look at who you are, look at you. And if you need some help around ask the question, can you deconstruct? Of course, I believe you can take a step back and you can look back at yourself and you can say, look here,
Yeah.
it's not too late to change. While I have life and I have breath, I can still modify some things about my life. It's not too late to change who you are.
Wonderful. We are at the end, but Sosheina has to say our finals and our wrap ups and all that. We had a wonderful discussion. I didn't even realize that we spent literally an hour and a half. Um, and it is a very wide topic. There are a lot of things to talk about. But Sosheina, your final words, and as a counseling psychologist, and I know you're going on Christmas break, so it's after the Christmas break they can book appointments with you. But what are like some of the steps that you'll recommend a person do to restructure their identity to ensure that they're being their authentic self?
One of the hardest questions that I find as a therapist, and even just as an individual, that person struggle with answering is the simple question of who are you? And if you think it's joke, test it out for yourself. Just walk randomly and ask somebody, tell me about yourself or who are you? It's very difficult for them to answer. And some of the times they answer in the secondary or the affiliate. You understand? I am so and so, so
I'm a
and so, so and so.
Christian.
Right. You understand what I'm saying? Some affiliate, I work here and this and that. They attach certain things to themselves without, and you say, all right, yeah, man, I know that I'm a mother, a friend. Yeah. But exactly who you are as an individual, and you find that they're stuck on that answer. And a part of the reason they are is because they don't spend a lot of time getting to know themselves. A lot of who they are and they project to be is out of individuals' perception of who they are and the attachments that they pretty much give to themselves. One of the most important things for you to live a purposeful life, as well as a life that is authentic and real, is that you have to spend some time understanding yourself, asking yourself some difficult questions. Who am I for true? You understand? Yes, search scriptures and yes, search developmental site books and so on. But you know within yourself who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what are you good at, what are your strengths, your weaknesses, all of those things. When you close your eyes, who do you see yourself to be? What kind of individual? Are you uptown, downtown, that kind of a thing? When you spend some quiet time with yourself, silencing the noise, the perceptions, and the influence of others, it is in that stillness you'll understand the path that you are supposed to walk to become who you are supposed to be authentically. Spend some time with yourself and stop attaching other person's perception of you to the question who you are, because when you answer who am I, you actually start by saying I am, not what Miss Garwood says or what Erraldo says, but I am. And that is the image that you are creating for yourself. And make sure when you outline that image that you are actually walking in that image, or you are working on walking in that image. Where are you rooting your identity, and who do you really want your identity to be a reflection of? That is the question that you pretty much must answer. But I'm imploring everybody to get back to a place where you are operating in your authentic self. Do not be afraid of other person's opinion of you, because you only have one life to live, and you must make sure that that life is impactful and that life is a reflection of whose you are. Follow? So it's a difficult task, I know, but it's a task that is actually relevant, and I implore everybody to pretty much do it. And as Erraldo said, if you want to have a conversation on that, of course you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Roar Unleashed and let me know, and we can have that conversation. But a big part of my brand is that we are all authentic in who we are, because when you're not authentic with yourself, when you don't know yourself and you're not authentic with yourself, you cause problem to your teacher, you cause problem to your church, you cause problem to your relationship, because we are trying to love and support who we think you are, which is really not who you are, and one bag of something and they go bust out on us, right? So to make the problems of life a little less complicated and to make yourself a satisfied, impactful individual, you must find out who you are and be who you are. Be yourself.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful closing words. And you can follow her at Roar Unleash on Instagram and also on Facebook. Yeah, and book your appointment and use the code Erraldo. It won't give you a discount, but at least you will know, say, you watch the program. And you don't know, you can reach out to Miss Garwood as well. These are some wonderful people. I just met Sosheina and have fallen in love with her personality. Reach out to, these are wonderful trained counselors. And if you want them for conferences and stuff like that, and seminars, some of the best people them to call, because I'm real and I'm gonna tell you like it is. And if you and these are the people that you need. If you want me, you can always find me, and if you want me to host anything or to preach, and that but anything psychology related, run to these people. I can do so much and no more. This is the end of our program. We're going into Christmas. Miss Guard, we are cook for Christmas. May I come down, may I come on my yard and my suitcase and everything pack up.
I
Pack up.
know you're coming home. Hurry and come
God.
home. Christmas. I'm not sure what dinner would be like, but I'm sure we're going to have some chicken, a little bit of everything, some rice, some peas, and some family time, quality family time, just to
Yeah,
laugh and relax and enjoy ourselves. And give God thanks that we made it to see
yeah,
another year in spite of the challenges with the pandemic. And for all of us out there, I wish you a safe and happy, Christmas and a prosperous New Year when it comes. I want to personally thank you for joining us for Saturday night discussions. And we are coming out good and well next year. And don't worry, we still have Sosheina because I think a number of you have reached out to me to about her. We'll have her to join us as our guest host at times. But we're coming back, in full force for the new year. I'd rather speak about the podcast. We're coming up with that too, and we look forward to how God is going to establish
yeah,
and continue to favor this these discussions. Please remember to subscribe. I want to thank those who have already subscribed. Please remember to like, share the videos, and subscribe to the channel as we continue to build community. It was an interesting journey in season 1. Boy,
yes,
God started something and He who began a good work in the faithful to complete it. Gratitude. My heart is just filled with gratitude. And that's all I really want to say. I want to get too emotional, but my heart is filled with gratitude to God.
yes,
Indeed, He has remained faithful to us. If you had told me years ago that one of my students and I would be working together like this, I would have told you no. And I mean, I've been on Love FM a number of times with Erraldo, and I've been in love without him too since he has left. But I mean, I believe he opened that door, that platform for me to be on the radio a couple of times, sharing in the field as well. But I would never say that I would be here with Erraldo. But I want to say I think we have a good dynamic. I think we work well together. I am super proud of him, and I continue to look forward to working with him as the Lord continues to use us. Everaldo, I am super proud of you, and I'm grateful, and I'm happy that God chose you. I didn't choose you. I'm happy that God chose you to work with me, and we are learning from each other, right?
yes.
As we continue in on this pathway to integrate theology and psychology. So, Merry Christmas to all our viewers and a prosperous new year when it comes.
Merry Christmas. Over here, so I grin of my teeth. Me, I try cover little braces, but it don't work.
Ima come in yard, man. Ima come home,
I
people. Ima
am
come
coming
home.
home, and when I land, it's gonna be amazing. I leave confused Texas, cause last night the hot and tonight cold enough in. So it very confused. I leave confused Texas Monday morning and head to my home. So I'll see you. So Sheena, enjoy the Christmas, eat no food. That me I come home for doing. Me don't prepare my menu already. Me not cook nothing, but me go eat everything. And until we meet again in 2022, have a great rest of the year, and walk good and walk with God. We go out on this one of my favorite Christmas song by Michael Bublé. Have yourself a Merry Christmas. Goodbye, everyone.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.